Hello, this is John Felt. Welcome to the NCGA Valent Ag Weather Outlook, June 18th, 2016. I'm going to start off about something I've been looking at very closely is where rain is needed. It seems like we exited spring in great shape in most areas, actually too wet in some spots. Now we're really trending dry in most areas. You can see in the latest update of the drought monitor, the areas in yellow are indicating abnormally dry. Over the southeast U.S., you can see we have over northern Alabama and parts of northern Georgia, surrounding states, we're in a D2 severe drought, and in a few spots even a D, well, I don't see any D3 in there, but at least a D2 severe drought in that area. But if you look at Missouri, parts of Iowa, Illinois, eastern Corn Belt, we're getting pretty big areas of below normal precipitation, and that's indicated by these dry conditions. So we could use as much as 3 to 6 inches over many of these areas. Over the southeast U.S., 6 to 9 inches. Parts of the upper Midwest, also North Dakota, some pockets of 6 to 9 inches. I think it's fair to say just about everybody needs some rain right now. Some really need rain, and if we don't get rain, this is going to get worse. So we look at the last 7 days, and there was some needed rain, but it was pretty scattered. You can see the areas in yellow. That was indicating 2 inches of rain. So if you got that rain, parts of southern Minnesota, really scattered parts of Iowa, northern Iowa, and northern Illinois, you're probably pretty fortunate you got that because other areas such as northern Missouri didn't get any precipitation at all. Looking at the southeast U.S., parts of Alabama, pretty good amounts of rain, but it didn't necessarily fall in that far northeast part of Alabama or North Georgia. So this is your typical summertime pattern where there is some precipitation at least, but many areas don't receive it. So we look at the past 14 days, 2 weeks, the departure from normal. We can see a lot of yellow. I can actually see some shades of brown there. That's 2 to 3 inches that we have a deficit of rainfall over the last 2 weeks alone. So again, we need more rain. Now, to make conditions worse, last week, as you know, it was extremely hot. Temperatures brushed 100 degrees in many locations. You can see the entire Corn Belt 3 to 6 degrees above normal. Many parts of the central and western Corn Belt 9 to 12 degrees above normal, so very hot. Now, when we look forward, what we want to see is we want to see a breakdown in this pattern. This is an average 5-day upper jet stream pattern, and we have this ridge of high pressure, H being the high, and I've outlined the ridge or the bowing north of the high pressure. And pretty much anywhere under that high, that mean position of the high, it's going to be unusually hot and unusually dry. Now on the outskirts here, if we can push this far enough west, this will usher in some cooler air, and that'll at least help out the eastern Corn Belt. Not necessarily with precipitation, but at least not as hot. So when we look at this week temperature averages, I think this is going to be the story with that high pressure anchored off to the west. The hottest temperatures are going to be brushing the western Corn Belt, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, and Nebraska. And then they're going to moderate further off to the east. We're going to be a little bit more into that northwest flow. And you can see that cold front, this is on Tuesday, pushing through. Unfortunately, it's not going to bring a whole lot of precipitation. And I tell you, that's one of the signs of, I don't want to use a drought yet because we're not in a drought, but that is one of the signs of abnormally dry weather or a drought is when fronts go through dry. And that's what we're seeing this week. There could be some scattered storms, but they're going to be pretty scattered. And then that's going to reinforce some cooler air. So at least over the central and eastern Corn Belt, it's going to be dry, but it's not going to be extremely hot and dry. So I've been looking at the tropics as well. There is a system that's going to be coming across the southern Gulf of Mexico, and right now it's not forecast to reach the U.S. There was some question if it moved north, but right now the models are pulling it to the west. But I'll keep an eye on that. So here's your precipitation forecast for this week, and this is probably the most important image I'll be showing in this briefing. And you can see there is some scattered precipitation along that front, but you know, this is really not much, and it's not going to help a whole lot. It's going to be very scattered. Let's hope that you get that precipitation, but overall it looks quite dry. Over the southeast U.S., the areas that have been extremely dry look like they're going to continue dry. Now, the 23rd through 28th of June, look at the mean position of that high. It hasn't moved much at all. looks very similar. Eastern Corn Belt has this northwest flow, so that's going to reinforce, I don't want to say cooler air, it's going to still be near normal for summertime, but it's not going to be that extreme heat. But if we look out to the west, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska, continued temperatures 5 to 10 degrees or more above normal. Then as we go off to the east, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, near normal temperatures in that region. And then if we go out to the end of June into early July, it looks like the ridge of high pressure at least is forecast to bump a little bit further west. Now, this is way out there, 11 to 15 days, so I don't want to put too much credit on this, but if that does that, you can see most of the Corn Belt now, Central Corn Belt at least more, is in that more on the other side of this high pressure, and that will bring temperatures pretty much just either near or a little bit above normal over pretty much the greater most of the Corn Belt. Hot temperatures off to the west. So pretty much the western U.S. is going to be under that for the next 15 days at least. I wanted to show you, again, this is way out there. This is June 30th, but this does show you temperature anomalies behind that high pressure. So if the high pressure does push off to the west, we are looking at late June, early July, some pleasant summer weather. However, I think that's one positive. At least this blazing heat that we had last week is not going to probably be the dominant trend. It looks like week 1 and week 2 precipitation is not all that impressive. I don't see a whole lot of green. I'd love to see pretty much widespread green. And look at the southeast U.S., lots of yellow. Pretty much no change over the next 2 weeks. So we could get some precipitation here and there, but it's not going to be anything that's going to really solve our dry problem. And I think overall it's going to be, unfortunately, getting worse. Here's your soil moisture change, and that shows that. Look how much brown we have. That's showing soils that are drying. Any of the excess precipitation, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, that is real quickly departing, and especially under the hotter temperatures in the western Corn Belt. So the alert right now is hot weather off to the west. The trends, really not much sign of rain until further notice, and that's really what I'm looking at every single day on when that's going to break. Continued drying of soils. Eastern Corn Belt, not quite so hot, near normal temperatures, and that really looks like, if you're in the Eastern Corn Belt, it looks like temperatures will be pretty much close to normal into the foreseeable future. That extreme heat looks like it's going to be off in the Western Corn Belt. That's the weather story for this week. I guess there was a little bit of good news with the temperatures pushing off to the west gradually. If you're in the Western Corn Belt, that's not good news at all, but not much good news as far as precipitation. Take care.